Right. I think everything is recording. Everything is going well. Is my audio big? Okay. Yeah. Um. Oh, it's frozen. That's why it's not showing. Okay. Okay. Awesome. Thank you so much for coming. My name is Matthew Joseph. I'm a director of instruction. We have some other instruction officers here that'll help you out. If you need any help, raise your hand. I'll also be walking around. But thanks for coming. Is anyone here part of the project track that we have in our Google Club? Perfect. I think this is the one workshop where I mean, every workshop is meant to help you for your project initiative this quarter, but this one is the most like one you can use almost immediately. You can almost start using this right after this workshop is done. But we'll be going over Figma, but also more importantly, we'll be learning how to design and iterate over an app idea. So we'll be going over a design sprint, which is all about how to think of ideas, how to facilitate ideas, and what is Figma and how to use Figma to create those ideas into fruition. So what is a design sprint? How to run a design sprint? So why would you ever do a design sprint? Oftentimes, I'm sure when you guys are with a friend, and I'm sure when you guys are initially doing the project project initiative track, you have an idea, perfect. You just sketch up something looks good. You have a Google Doc, and you start coding immediately. But the issue is this: in doing this, is that if you have like a team, even simply a team of 3, each person has a different idea of doing something. Like I don't know if you guys have done the experiment where everyone has a piece of paper and someone tells everyone to draw a circle, draw a square, and like gives a set of instructions. Each paper will have a different drawing because each person envisions instructions, envisions the vision of an app very differently. So the purpose of design sprint is to make things everything coherent, have everyone come to a consolidated idea, but also flush out the idea. Sometimes you think of an app idea and you think, yeah, I think maybe one like a Facebook clone, but you don't think of any ideas like how it's going to work. What is the user flow going to look like, right? What are the features we care about? What are the features we don't care about? All those ideas will be handled in a design sprint. So setup, that tiny URL on the top is a lot more of a thorough description of how to set up a design sprint in this workshop. I'll just give you the pinpoints and the important parts of it. But if you want details, especially like there's more details on how to do design sprint, that's in the sprint guide URL right there. It's best if you can have like a whiteboard in person like this, but of course that's not always accessible, especially for like a 5-day sprint like this. So I've always done like a Miro 5 days design. It's like a virtual whiteboard, and of course having a Discord Slack to discuss and plan things. So that's standard stuff. So the first part of design sprint is mapping it out. When you come in, make sure everyone has the same idea of what they want the long-term goal of this project to be, of this design sprint to be. You don't want to make your design sprint too outlandish. Think, okay, we're going to design the whole thing out. Every single detail is going to be flushed out. No, typically the long-term goal should be like, you want to like focus on, if you want to be really nitty gritty, what is the user login experience going to be? What is like this specific user flow going to be like? But oftentimes it's like, I'm just going to do like a high level perspective of what we want the first couple of screens to look like. Maybe we'll have some other ideas, like some future ideas we want to be, but like the most basic features we want in our app, that's what we'll handle in our design sprint. So to start on this, have everyone write some sprint questions of everyone writes their own individual idea on a post-it note, and you put these post-it notes on like the virtual whiteboard or really, like I mentioned before, and each person will pick their top 2 favorites, and they share these notes on the place on the board. And so this whole sprint questions part basically democratized, but allows everyone to think of their ideas, put everyone's unique ideas onto a board, and then picks on which are their favorite ideas. So you can now consult, okay, idea 2 and 4 are the most voted, so let's focus on those rather than having it. But like your board will have like 10 ideas, let's say. You want to narrow down on like a few ideas to focus on. So now you want to start sketching it out. Of course, we're a day and age where we have iPads and Figma, but sketching out still is the best way just to get any of those itches out, any of the initial ideas. So using a piece of paper, sketch out what the app will look like, and just do it on a piece of paper and just draw it out whatever ideas you had in the previous slide. And then from there, you just come and show those sketches you have and put it on the whiteboard. If you're on a virtual whiteboard, put it on there. But also you can just take a picture of it and put on the virtual whiteboard. And then everyone will now, similar to the ideas part, put 1 to 3 dots on areas of sketches that they like. If you like a specific area, if you like a specific sketch, you put 3 dots. If you don't, if you kind of like it, put 1, so on and so forth. And then as you consolidate all those dots and those votes, you'll create a heat map of which are the best parts of each sketch. With this allows you to almost like quickly critique each sketch, discuss highlights, show it's like one step further into flushing out the idea, making the idea into a more reality. And then from there, you have like a heat map of what ideas look best, which sketches of an idea look best, and you can choose which ones you guys want to actually prototype on. So now with the ideas finalized, you also want to, now you have the ideas laid out, but you need to connect all those pieces together. So now each person should have their own space on the whiteboard, create 4 to 6 steps on their storyboard and put them into a row. And then now it's similar, you're creating your own storyboard and then having your own vote on your storyboard flow. And yeah, so by the end of this, you have iterated on, you've consolidated ideas, you've consolidated on sketches, you've consolidated on storyboard. Now everything of your prototype is ready to start designing. So now you have the blueprint for the prototype. So now with all these ideas, it's great and all, but now you actually have to do something with this prototype, right? There's no point of having any sketches on paper. You're not going to show anyone. You can't show any friends or family about this. There's no point of doing this. So how do you convert this prototype into something that's interactable? Figma is your tool for it. What you can do is now you have the storyboard, let's say like 5 to 6 panels on each within one story. Divide and conquer. Each person can take 2 boards of that, 2 panels of that storyboard, and you can work on this Figma file. Figma also is kind of like Google Docs, where everyone else can collaboratively work on one file, and it's almost like in sync, like any Google Doc. And then with Figma, what's really nice is you can almost create like basically like a functional prototype, where if you click on certain parts, it'll take you to different pages. You can almost basically simulate what your app will look like without having to touch any code at all. And the benefit of this is that you'll be able to show this prototype to friends and family and get some genuine feedback from your app. What this helps is oftentimes as a designer or the person who thought of the idea, you might think, okay, obviously it's intuitive to click on this button to go here. But when you give it to someone who doesn't have any of that pretense up, you give it to them, they're like, I have no idea what to do. This is way all too complicated. It's a really tough part to get this feedback when you code up you've done your React app, your Flutter app, you have a bunch of code and someone says, no, this is not it. You can't do this. I don't know how to use it. Rather than investing all that effort into code and then having to scrap it, you can do it with Figma, right? It's so much easier to delete a square than delete a line of code and redoing it. So you can keep on iterating, giving this design sprint and testing it out. And then you can find all the fault and almost make sure that your app, from a user's perspective, is as thorough as possible. So now the only thing you have to worry about when you're actually developing is just making sure the app works. While you're developing, does it make sense as a user perspective? Does that make sense? Does anyone have any questions for now? Design sprint. It is definitely a high overview. I don't expect anyone to really do a design sprint from just this, but just to show you the benefits of design sprint, and you can get more details into that URL up there. So what is Figma? Figma, as I mentioned, is the Google Docs of design applications. Lets you prototype and iterate on app ideas with your team. And the really nice part, like the cherry on top, is it gives you HTML code for your front end for a lot of fast transitioning. Once you create your website, you of course want to style it, make sure it looks all pretty. It provides you some HTML and some CSS that you can just copy paste into your React or whatever it be, so that you can just make sure that those elements look exactly the same as your Figma prototype. Just easier to start. You don't on your CSS, change some color values and refresh on your screen. You can do that within Figma and then just copy paste those values into your website. But I think really, really useful part for my that I've seen is that interactive prototype that we'll go into more details. So some like one scene I like to think about is like what was it before and after Figma. Before Figma, like I mentioned before, each teammate has their own idea of an app, but no one's on the same page. Everyone's saying hypothetically, what if we did this? What if we do that? But no one's really. I'm sure you guys are like, for even when you're trying to think of a plan to go outside, and says, what if you go here? What if you go to Natural Bridges? No, what if you go to this coffee shop? No one's finalizing on an idea. But with Figma, you can say, okay, maybe you have this idea. We have idea A, B, and C. Let's put those ideas into Figma, and then we can have through the testing choose which idea makes sense. Or even with yourself, even before you put it into Figma, you can put it through the design sprint, finalize an idea, and through Figma, more get more details and fine grain on that idea a lot better. It lets you do as many iterations as possible with very low overhead. Able to do as many test runs as possible. So to people who were here earlier, but to people who just showed up, we will be doing a Figma tutorial, and I'll be showing you how to use Figma and the benefits of it and how to like prototype it. So to do so, I would recommend installing the native application on Figma.com. There is a web application, web client option, but I personally like the desktop client. And also one thing is, would recommend getting Figma education. Like any software application, the free trial is just to get you in. And then obviously a lot of features are behind a paywall. So, but you can skip that paywall by just getting an education program. It's really, really simple. I did it and I got accepted almost immediately as well. So we recommend doing Figma education while you're in school. So here's like a video of a prototype I did actually myself. But I see like this is, I mean, okay, I'm not the greatest UI. I don't know why I would port orange and purple in your website, but you're able to create a full, almost what looks like a real website in Figma itself. So you can copy what it looks like. You know, all this idea of like how, I'll click in 1 second, how this looks like. We iterated on Figma itself. We had a couple ideas, and if we actually went into code and did it, it'd be really, really messy. But we were able to iterate on it on Figma and able to get to a certain idea. Yeah. Okay. No. So yeah, if you guys can go to this URL right here, that's a file that I've created so we can follow along in this tutorial. Has anyone have any issues on installing anything? Any questions for now before we head into the interactive part? Nope. Okay. Cool. So if you can follow this URL, it should open, it should give you a link to a Figma file, and start on the tutorial. Sweet. See you guys on here. So just, I would say like make a copy of this file and then edit on your own, because I don't think you should have editing access to this technically, but just make a copy and then you'll be able to follow along with me. And throughout this tutorial, if you have any questions like that, we have officers around to help you out. Okay, anyone needs some more time to copy it? Good to go? All right. So to start, if you're creating like an app, iOS app or like a web app, there's a typical framing that you like, a sizing that you can expect to be a standard. So to get that, if you go in your bottom link right here, if you select frame, you have some frames right here, like for example, phone, tablet, desktop. So it allows you to see what get like some standard sizes of like a MacBook Pro or just a general desktop, whatever it be. So for now, we'll just pick iPhone. What did I choose before? It's like 16. Yeah, we'll choose iPhone 16 for now. And I have right here. So as you can see, immediately when I add a frame, on your left side, there's like a frame subfolder right here. As earlier, if you can see around the top, I've named everything here, and naming makes a huge difference. Just like any other file system, when you on your laptop or on your Google Drive folder, name makes a huge difference, and making things everything organized is really useful. So for now, I'll name this as opening screen as well. And then I'll just copy on these elements, these like images that I pulled in earlier. So obviously it's convenient because I already set it up. But so I'll copy it. I would just import this image like as usual. I just drag and drop, and I have it within subfolder here. For the text, I'll put some text right here, this T right here, simply as welcome to the GDG app. It's very small. Try sign in. So we will center this. Obviously make it much bigger. It's a bit too big. Okay. And then for the buttons and all that, we can just copy the components on this like square up on this, let's label components. Just copy this, and inside here, put this button right here. And same for this create account button here. So this can be sign in. Oh. Create account, right? Okay, so let's set up the sign in, the login part, the sign in part of the app. So we can go here, frame, click iPhone 16. And I'll just create this frame and one more, and then I'll have you guys work on your own. But so from here, just copy this image as before. Log in here. I'll just copy over this. Actually, no, I'll do it in here. Just the email and password. This is also really, really sloppy work, but just to show the gist of what is possible. Email, password, and then we'll have just a login option here. Right. So we have the login part, and then let's have like the sign up part, create account part. So let's 116, create account. Oh, I'm also not naming. Let me name that real quick. This right here. Login. So you can see also already that I've made a couple of mistakes in the sense that these two fields right here, this login part, as I said, the email and password part are outside of this frame. So it can be really messy when you're moving things around, when you're highlighting things, it can be outside. Just simply just drag it inside here. Good. And then this is create account. Copy over this image. Some text here saying and then I'll just, for the sake of time, just copy paste this. It's on the components that are above there. Yeah. Okay. So now this is the part where I enjoy doing is if you click on this right option on the top right here that says prototype, you see you have all these arrows right here. What this allows you to do is have that part where clicking on buttons and seeing what it'll look like. For example, I can show you what it's supposed to look like. If I play it here. So if you click on just like outside in the general area, it will highlight what is clickable. So I click on sign in, it automatically logs in, and I press login, takes me to the website. But if I don't have an account, I do create account. I have anything like the login with Google, login with Apple, continue email. I don't have those options. I only have this create account option. Once I do that, let's say I hypothetically put in my details, create account, and then now it's one thing what you as a developer can think when I'm prototyping. When I create an account, let's say in this situation, do I automatically log them in and then send them to the welcome page, or do I have them, even if they do create their account, log in again? There's things that you might not think about when you just have an idea itself, but through this prototyping, you will understand the nitty-gritty details that you can flesh out in a prototyping rather than when developing. But then you log in, here's the homepage, right? So how do you do this yourself? If you click on this prototype, whenever you highlight on any like element that you want to click on, there's this circle that shows up right here, right? Circle here. If you drag on this, so this is a sign-in part. So when I click on this, when I click on it, I want to go to this login screen right here. It says on click, navigate to the destination, which is a login page right here. You can have some cool animations, like your animations you did when you were like in elementary school for your Google Slides, but you can do the dissolve and nothing. Instant is just what I do. And then for the create account thing, we'll have it click into here, instant. And then when someone creates account, for now, we'll just have the condition of have someone log in immediately, right? And then we also want to have some condition if they ever want to exit, and if they click, they can exit this whole user flow by clicking on the logo, and it'll take them back to where they started right here. Let's see. So click on this, what we've done. Sign in, automatically takes me here. Or if I do create account, I set my credentials, and I create account. Does that make sense? So this is the really powerful part where you can create a prototype, you can iterate on it, you can almost have an app, but without any code, able to create a prototype. I'm speaking like a broken record, but yeah, that's pretty much it. So do you have any questions on how to do any prototyping, anything like this? No questions? So what I'll have you guys do in the meantime, we have like 20 minutes left. You can either continue on this app itself, or what is also pretty interesting here is there's where can I find it? There's an explore option where it'll show you like what other people have done in terms of, what did I do? Let me see if I can. Oh yeah, there's this community tab right here. You can look up what people have done themselves. You can search up like, let's say, Facebook clone, right? So you can see what other people have done, and you can just you can like open a Figma and copy paste these elements for you. And so it helps you iterate, like if you want to create a Facebook clone, but just modify different aspects just a little bit to make sure it works for your app. You don't have to reinvent the wheel of Facebook. You can just open this in Figma and work on like that. So with that, I'll let you guys explore around. If you have any questions, we'll be around. But yeah, there are some parts to the end of the workshop, so if you need to stick around for that. But yeah. Feel free to also discuss with anyone around you here.